Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round, the second one of our ORL Tier 1 Championship. This is Ruben Reis Pagmanha, and beside me in the commentary booth, Joana Gaunt Brito. Hello everyone, how are you all doing? And Joanna, we had an exciting race last week at the Circuit de Montréal or the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. A very exciting race, especially at the end. Daniel Haddad came on top. What do you have to say about the upcoming race for the driver?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Ruben. It was indeed a very exciting race. I wouldn't say only the last laps, of course. Most of the action
Yes.
uh, did happen on the last laps with that very timely safety car. Let's put it this way. But truth to be told, I believe that even if there wasn't a safety car, the action would be on the last laps because most of our drivers were following each other in DRS trains. As we mentioned last week, Canada has 3 DRS zones, so it's a bit easier, let's put it this way, to keep in the 1 second margin of the car ahead. And that makes it that in the last laps is where most of the action happens, because it's where the drivers know that their opponents won't have as much time to fight back. Let's put it this way. Tonight we have Belgium, Spa-Francorchamps. We had a bit of a taste last Friday. Some of our drivers were here as well, but I'm very excited for tonight.
Exactly. So I was just showing our audience the results for the previous race. Of course, that determines the order of the championship at the moment. So Daniel Haddad control of affairs, Manolo Villar in P2. We also saw Iker Baena with the 10-second time penalty. Still claims 2 points because he did have the fastest lap. So he adds another point to his tally, but maintains P10 right behind Stefano Ramazio. So still behind the Ferrari driver, but well, at least he's on equal points as the Ferrari driver. But now talking about Spites, a classic for all the drivers, so it's also a fan favorite amongst most of them. So it is probably going to be an exciting race. Of course, the drivers, uh, of course, they are very well prepared for this track, especially because they've raced around it multiple times already in F1 2021. So it is going to be very tight in the field, and we are expecting a very close qualifying. Of course, the weather can always play some tricks on our drivers, so we are going to have to wait and see how it turns out, and if the conditions, if the climate changes rapidly, as it is known to do in this region of the world, who is going to adapt the quickest and the most effectively? That's also going to be a factor to take into account. We at the moment do have our lobby getting started with the qualifying session. So let's take a look at what the drivers can do in this first Q1. But before that, we do have the Spa-Francorchamps upon us, round number 2 of this ORL Championship, length of 7,004 meters, about 7 kilometers of pure adrenaline, some of the most well-known pieces of tarmac in the automobilistic world. Of course, some iconic corners, some very high speeds, and 2 DRS zones to aid overtaking attempts around this track. Is surely going to spice things up during this afternoon, and we are going to see the drivers go in hangar about around these 19 corners. They are going to be repeating them quite a few times this afternoon. The tire degradation is not that high, so the drivers are able to push to their heart's content. Now, getting to the racetrack itself, and we have already started with our qualifying session, and count, we have already the first few drivers out there on the track.
First drivers coming out. Contrary to Canada, is a track where you really shouldn't just stay sleeping in the pits because it's a very long lap. and they don't have more time because of that. So it's the same amount of time, more kilometers to make, more time wasted per lap. So they need to get going. But again, this is only Q1. Most drivers will, if it goes like it did last week, most drivers will just try to put a BenQ lap on the first try. We see some drivers already preparing the inters on the pits, and then on the second attempt they'll try to pass to Q2 the later the possible, but nevertheless trying to get a BenQ one so you don't have as much pressure on the last lap.
Exactly. So this is a track where it is quite easy to invalidate or to exceed the track limits and invalidate your lap. But we are going on board with Sven Zerner at the moment. Going to be going on board with him as he takes us around the lap of this circuit, if he actually goes for one. Samuel Bean also came out of the pits on intermediates as well as Zerner's teammate Dani Berejnai. Let's take a look at what the McLaren driver can do now. He gets himself into La Source, turn number 1, hard on the brakes, about 80 meters away from turn 1. Didn't quite get the curb on the inside. Ooh, snap of oversteer on the exit. But you need to go up the gears, foot planted to the floor as you now prepare yourself for Eau Rouge, the left-hander of Radion. Still throttle pins to the floor, the RS wide open on the back of that Mercedes-powered McLaren. Up through the gears and just waiting for about 70 meters away from Lecombe. This right-left chicane before going into turn number 9, and it's all downhill from here on in. To go hard on the brakes once again, very tricky to spot the braking zone into Bruxelles. Now a tricky left-hander, you need to explore the curb on the entry as much as you can. And Spencer went a bit wide, not sure if he invalidated that lap or not. Nonetheless, throws his car into Pujon, turn number 12. And now, yes, he's going to be well into this second sector through Campos. Now, spotting the 50-meter mark to go once again on Stavelo. Looks like Zerner has aborted his lap, but still going through turn number 16. Paul Frere, now it's all up through the gears. As once again we get through Blanchimont, one of the fastest corners of this track as well. And now just brake as late as you dare for the bus stop chicane. Go to the right, go to the left to complete a lap. And yes, Sven Zerner did abort his previous attempt. You can see no lap time posted. But we do have a few more drivers on their attempts right now. We have Rookie at the moment, just about to wrap up the second sector, Joanna.
Yeah, I was on board with Alessio Di Capo, who was actually ahead of him on track, but he also invalidated. I think it was at the exit of Puon. So I think El Rookie will be the first driver to put a lap this evening.
Yeah, so let's see what lap time he can achieve. Behind him is one of the Toro Rosso, the Alpha Tauri, sorry. I believe that is Dario Lemulo. Let's see what he can
achieve. Behind him you have his teammate and then Dario Yemulo.
Okay. So you have Rookie getting a 142.4. Then Domenico Lovece goes into the pits. Lemulo now is going to cross over the line. Can he beat the Ferrari's lap time? No, he does not. 143.0, of course, being on the mediums makes that task a little bit harder. And now, who is the next driver? Samuel Valentin getting a bit wide. Bit of a snap of oversteer entering Pujon. In the meantime, we also have Samuel Bean on the intermediates. He's about to wrap up his lap, but I'm sure he'll go into the pits instead of turning left into the start-finish straight. Yes, it does go. Oh, and he smacks onto the wall. That's, fortunately for him, that's only going to leave a mark on his pride, surely. Nonetheless, we have the Red Bulls of Istvan Puki at the moment, about to wrap up his lap.
Yeah, but he invalidated as well.
Okay.
So the next would probably be the Haas of Napadovsky. No, his
No,
teammate,
no, his
sorry.
teammates. Third
Corningolo.
goal is exactly. Let's see what he can achieve. He was making his debut today. Gets P3, 143.6, and Armengol grabs his way into P2. Morichon also gets P5. He aborted his attempt, so as you can see, that 154. So he left off the throttle somewhere along the lap. Samuel Valentin is about to, or already started, a second attempt on those mediums. We'll have to wait and see if he's actually going to complete that one. Alessio De Capua goes back into the pits, and Nardi Perez is also forced to go on a second attempt on that set of yellow marked mediums. Anything else to point out, Rona, this early in the session?
Yeah, quite a few drivers invalidating their first attempts and not completing the lap, just returning to the pits. While we have Alvaro Puerto finishing his lap and climbing up to P5, first lap on the medium tire, making the Williams driver one of the only 6 drivers that have a time on the board so far. We have,
Oh,
I think,
sorry.
Ticker
Valentin
Baena.
goes for a spin. Valentin goes for a spin in the middle sector. I believe this is a transition between turns 13 and 14. And a mistake from him. So the next driver to go over the line will probably be Perez, who just went through the troubled Alfa Romeo.
His teammate just crossed the line as well and moved up to P3, the best of the medium tire runners. Baena that had a very good qualifying session last week, but then was unable to capitalize on that during the race. Let's see if he can show us a different Iker Baena tonight. But yeah, for now, I think he did Q1 on the intermediate tires last week, so a bit of a different strategy so far. And that time on the score as well.
Yeah, of course, he was a big contender at Canada, but the rain in Q3 spoiled his plans, and he was forced to start in P8, if I recall correctly. That Q3 time got affected by the rain. He wasn't able to do much better than that. Unfortunately, he also got penalized at the end of the Grand Prix. Daniel Haddad closes his lap with a 142.7 on the mediums as well. And now I believe it is one of the Alpine. Oh, it's
yeah, but the Alpine is coming slowly and getting yellow. I think it's without fuel. So the next would be Samuelbin, but he also stopped.
Yeah, he's on his outlap. He's on his outlap. Ben Szabo is also on his outlap. Istvan Puk is just now getting out of the pit. So the next driver, I believe, is Patrick Ruti, who is on a lap at the moment. Sven Zerner is also on the track, trying to figure out where he is, and he is a bit further back on the track position. So it is the Mercedes we are going to follow with for now. We do have as well Morichon, who was forced to go on a second lap on the softs. He improved to P2. His teammate Iker Baena posted his lap time. At the time it was P3. In the meantime he got demoted to P5. Morichon pulls off into the pits after his first 2 attempts. Van Zerner just wrapped up the second sector. But the Mercedes, Patrick Ruti, is now about to wrap up his first attempt. He's on the softs. Let's see what lap time he's going to post. And it is provisory pole, 141.759. Sven Zerner also on the softs. He's going to try to give his answer. What will it be? Coming over the line, and 42.1. So we only have one driver so far able to do a lap time below the 142, so very solid lap from the Polish driver of the Mercedes. Samuel Bean, I believe, is the next one to wrap up a lap. He is on the mediums at the moment. Right behind him there are both Red Bulls, but for now let's see what the Aston Martin driver can do. He's coming over the line on the mediums and he gets P6 just ahead of his teammate Ben Szabo though. Only 4,000ths of a second faster than Sven Zerner. Beats in 2p2, at least for now. Further back, Manolo Villar is about to start a lap of his own. Behind him on the track, we have, I believe, it's Valentin as well, just about to close up his preparation lap, his out lap. And Danny Berejnai.
His lap is Danny Berejnai. I think it's the first, well, the second, the first contender to join Patrick on the under 42 times. Let's see how he wraps up his lap. Manages to keep control of his car, and yeah, P1 141.3, and we're still in Q1, Ruben. We're still in Q1.
Yeah, Domenico Lovece right behind him though also posts a very solid lap to 141.6. Napadovsky also improves with a 141.8, and all of a sudden, Joanna, we got a bunch of drivers lapping below the 142, so we do expect the lap times to continuously drop as we get closer and closer to the end of the session. Samuel Valentin is on our screens, but he has invalidated his lap time, unfortunately. Dario Lemulo is the next one, and we have...
But meanwhile, Istvan Puki is out of the qualifying session, losing the car right before the end of the second sector. That's the end of qualifying session for the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, very unfortunate. That is causing some yellow flags in Sector 2. Valentin also went off the track for some reason. Not exactly sure what happened, but Samuel Valentin also went on an off-track excursion there. So obviously, that's a lap time thrown out the window. Vance Zabo is bringing it back into the pits, and Iker Baena just started a lap of his own. Domenico Lovece is surely going to be... He's shown as having 0 laps on his tires. Yeah, but he's not pushing because he just completed that 141.6, so our graphics are trolling us a little bit. At the moment, Danny Berejnai is also not on a new set of tires. He just posted that 41.3, so I do believe it's Iker Baena, the next driver, to get done with his lap, perhaps. Breno, do you see anything else on the track at the moment?
I think Codorningolo will be the next one. Not sure if the Williams ahead of him is also on a lap or not.
We're going to figure out. Nardi Perez just started a lap of his own. Alvaro Puerto has his lap invalidated. His lap time is invalidated, so it's all with Codorningolo at the moment. Let's see what he can achieve. The number 88 of the Haas is coming over the line now. Improves to P5. Very close lap time to his teammate on the other side of the Haas garage. Dario Lemulo going for a second run on those softs and put himself up to P4, beating both Haas. And after that, I believe we have Baena about to finish a lap of his own. Improves to P6. So a lot of drivers now getting into the 141s. The time is dwindling. There's not many more opportunities for these drivers to achieve their potential. And a lot of drivers have returned to their garage. Manolo Villar, I believe, is limping back into the pits. He's actually going quite slow, so I'm not sure if he actually ran out of fuel or something similar. Nardi Perez. Joanna, could you take a look at Nardi and confirm to me if he's on a flying lap or not? Because if he is, he's going on a...
lap.
Yeah, he was going for another flying lap, but it got invalidated. I'm not sure as to what extent he is safe to go through into Q2 with that 42.1.
Well, who is not safe at the moment is Alessio Di Capo and Samuel Valenti. Alessio just left the pit for his, I believe, only attempt on this Q1. So let's see. I'm not sure how much time is left since there are yellow flags on Pool from his teammate, actually. So not sure if he's trying to wait for his teammate or not. But Dani Berejnai happy with his time. Alessio Di Capo is on his outlap, just getting out of the way so Alvaro can pass by. Alvaro Puerto, but I don't think he's on a hot lap.
No, he's on a hot lap at the moment. So Pablo Armengol is doing the same. A lot of drivers on their preparation laps at the moment. Sven Zerner, though, just started this lap. Napadovsky is satisfied with his performance in Q1. He is out of the session for now. Sven Zerner just started this lap. Alexis Morichon as well. Samuel Bin and Haddad, the Aston Martin drivers, have both started their laps as well. So
yes, we go along with Daniele Haddad, who is last week's winner, and he's now at this moment out of Q2. He's on a fast lap in Pau. Let's see if he can improve his time and pass to Q2.
Yeah, so let's see what he can achieve at the moment. A bunch of drivers as well retiring from the session. I believe Haddad will be the first out of this group of drivers to get through. Oh, but Samuel Valentin, that could have gotten very chaotic. Both Samuel and Pablo Armengol were aware of Haddad's positioning, got out of his way as early as they could.
I'm actually quite curious to see if Pablo Armengol will be able... No, he's okay. Because I remember that in the spot of the track where he went out to let Haddad by, in the previous games, it would invalidate that and the next lap.
Daniel
So
Haddad.
thankfully for him, it's solved.
Yeah.
While Daniel Haddad, P2. Very well from the Italian driver.
And Sven Zerner is also about to complete a lap of his own, and he goes P4 with a 41.7. After that, we have Morichon, I believe, who is going to complete his lap on the Alpine, crosses over the line, but his lap time got invalidated, unfortunately. Now it's on to Samuel Bin, who is through the last few corners. Let's see what he can achieve.
With his lap invalidated, he is out of the qualifying session with no time on the board.
Yeah, Samuel Bin as well.
Such a lucky session from him.
Yeah, Samuel Bin as well, because he is in P16 at the moment. I believe he's also getting invalidated. He didn't improve, so he might be out of the session.
He doesn't have the checkered flag, so he might be on the second attempt.
We're going to have to wait and see about that one. It is true he didn't get that checkered flag right beside his name in the graphics, so maybe he's about...
In the meantime, we have Alessio Di Capo finishing his lap, arriving at the bus stop, braking very well, managing to keep the car together. Let's see, almost on the limit. But again, all our drivers are on the limit, and P2 for Alessio Di Capo, he's safely into Q2.
Yeah, for now, Morichon getting back into the pits surely after his attempt. Is safe for now. Rookie gets P13, just dethroning Manolo Villar. But now it's Armengol coming through, and is he P16? He does not improve on that 42.6.
Both Alfa Romeo drivers who invalidated their attempts, both out in Q1, as well as I believe Samuel Bin. No, Samuel Bin is the only driver who can be able to make Alexis Morichon out of Q1, out in Q1 if he manages to improve his time. I think it's looking pretty good for the Aston Martin driver.
And yes, he does. 141.8 goes up into 8th place, and it's Morichon who gets knocked out in Q1, as well as both Alfa Romeos. What?
That's confidence if I ever saw it. That's confidence. What Samuel Bin just did, that's having confidence on their time.
Well, they do have the delta. They do know how much they are improving, and they surely... They probably knew how much time they had to improve to get through. So yeah, going to the side to waste a bit more time. I'm sure he was safe. He knew he was safe on doing that one. So nonetheless, bit of a statement on how comfortable he was with that lap, and on potential laps as well further down the session. Danny Bereznai on provisory pole at the end of Q1. Of course, doesn't matter that much this early on in the session, but Morichon, Armengol, Alvaro and Samuel Valentin are out of the session. Istvan Pukki wasn't able to even post a lap time. He was well, he was a victim of a crash, and Valentin has a 5-second penalty. We didn't quite catch what happened. Going to try.
Not 5 seconds, 5 positions.
Sorry, yeah, 5 positions. Going to try and figure out what happened. Illegal blocking. I'm not sure what happened. He did have that off-track excursion. I'm not sure what happened at that point, but nonetheless, he got penalized. So he's going to start even behind Istvan Puki. They were both of them already sharing the last row of the grid, but another car that the Alfa Romeo needs to get by if he wants to still get a points finish on this race. Now, heading on to Q2, looks like the skies have opened up a little bit, just wrapping up our loading procedures, but the skies have opened up a little bit, and perfect conditions still for the practice of F1 qualifying. And I see already Patrick Ruti is going to be the first one out there on a qualifying attempt.
Yes, Patrick has shown us that he has a very good pace and he's able to fight for race win. So let's see if he's able to fight. I'm going to say with Daniel Beresney because he's the one who got on the first position in Q1 and he's the shared favorite to take pole so far. So let's see which of them will get pole position. Daniele Haddad is the second favorite to get pole, so let's see if our chat is sharper on their predictions or if someone else will just surprise and make a statement.
Yeah, so going to have to wait and see, of course. This track is never easy to get nailed. These very fast corners, you need to be precise with your inputs, because at such high speeds, you need just being slightly off-angled. You need to correct the car, and that of course costs time. So it's a very fast track. Of course, it's a long one. So that's why the drivers need to be on top of their game, because they do have a lot of places to mess up, a lot of corners, a lot of hard corners, so they do have loads of places where they could make a mistake, because it is a long lap, despite how high speed it is. So let's go on board with Kruti, as he's about to start a lap, getting the best angle as he possibly can, getting out of the last corner. And let's go into La Source with Kruti. Also not hitting that curb on the inside. I see the drivers avoiding that one, but he was much better on the traction coming out of turn number 1. Now up through Eau Rouge and the left-hander of Radion before opening the DRS, getting the most top speed out of that Mercedes power unit as he can possibly do. And now about 50 meters away from Lecombe, on the brakes, avoids the curb on the inside of the first corner, goes for it on the second one, takes the curb as well on the right-hander, and now it's all down here from here on in, hard on the brakes as well. Of course, the weight of the car goes all into the front left of the tire through Bruxelles, so not a particularly liked corner, especially for the suspension and the tires. And now you need to have confidence in the car, just throw it into P1, pray that it sticks on the other side of the corner. And now to this chicane, you need to get those curbs to help rotate the car through this combination of turns 13 and 14. Go on a bit of the brakes as well. Didn't quite get it done on the entry to Stavolo. A bit of hesitation, but he just wraps up sector number 2. All the way up through the gears, through Cobb Paul Frère, corner number 16. Now through Blanchemont. Still full throttle, and now just waiting to spot his braking references for these last 2 corners. He actually aborts his attempt, and he goes back into the pits.
So do the 2 drivers behind him. Nardi was right behind him, he invalidated his lap, and so did Ani Beresnay, was on a hot lap on the medium compound.
So let's see now, Nardi Perez is also going back into the pits, so a lot of drivers going into the pits at this point.
Unless
Berezna
it will
as
be
well.
the next one and the first one completing a lap.
Well, let's see. Yeah, he's actually on the medium, so looks like he's actually going to complete a lap. Right behind him, I believe, is Manolo Villar, but Manolo is just about to start a lap. So yeah, first lap time achieved by Alessio Di Capua, 1:42.9. Of course, not a particularly competitive lap time, but he's surely going to improve on that over the course of the session.
It is competitive when all your competitors don't finish the lap, and you do.
Well, yeah. Of course, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that would be a time that we're getting through to Q3. So, yeah, probably those mediums are also a bit worn out from Q1 as well. So, just getting a rhythm for the lap here in this first attempt. And he's going to be giving it beans in the laps, the attempts to come. Speaking of beans, we have Samuel Bean currently going through the middle sector. He is also on the medium tires. Number 35.
Of him we have Van Lerner also on a hot lap on the softer compound. So let's see. He had a bit of a moment through sector 2. But let's see who also has a bit of a moment is Iker Baena. I'm not sure if he wasn't just letting the Haas driver by. But yeah, Sven Zerner breaking into the bus stop, doing this last chicane. All the way, not as much to the right as we've seen other drivers doing, but it's 1:42.191 for the McLaren driver.
Exactly. Bean completes his lap, but it was invalidated. Now we have Manolo Villar also on an invalidated lap. So behind him is Dario Lemulo. No, it's Alessio Di Capua. Is he going back into the pits? Or is he completing a second attempt? No, he's pulling off into the pits. So the next driver on the track is Dario Lemulo, who might also be on his way back into the pits. He is draining his battery, so he's at least going full power, even if he's pulling off into the pits at the end of it. So we have to wait and see if he's actually going to try to post a lap time. Yes, it looks like he is. Let's see what Lemulo does, going over the line. And it is P2, a 1:42.8 for the AlphaTauri driver. And he sticks it just ahead of his teammate at the moment. Ben Szabo, I believe, is the next one to complete his lap, Joanna.
He's already in the third sector. The game showed a purple second sector, but we always look at it with a bit of doubt because it's famous debug. But yeah, he finishes the last chicane. He crosses the line, and it's up to P1, 1:41.976 for the only the only driver from Red Bull in this Q2 session. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Daniel Haddad is about to start a lap of his own. Dani Berezna also just started a lap, so we are going to jump to Napadovsky, who is about to close out a lap of his own. His teammate is right ahead of him, but also completing an out lap. And Iker Baena has disconnected. So hopefully he can join us soon. And Napadovsky grabs himself the top spot of the table, 1:41.7 for the number 13 in the Haas. And the next driver to hopefully accomplish a lap time is Patrick Rutte. He invalidated, or
you
he
said it,
aborted
and he invalidated on the same second.
Okay, so, well, that's a bit of commentator's curse right there for the Polish driver. Nonetheless, it's Domenico Lovece right behind him in the Ferrari, who is also trying to achieve a second lap time, a lap time with a second attempt on that set of mediums, perhaps. He's already blinking those lights at the rear of the Ferrari, so yeah, maybe he was derating his battery. He goes back into the pits, and now it's Nardi Perez, the next driver, to wrap up a lap of his own. Let's see if he can crack the top 5. And no, he aborted his attempt, so he goes wide to prepare himself for another crack at it. Of course, he didn't invalidate by going off the track, he just aborted his attempt. Dani Berezna, though, is coming over the line to set provisory pole, 1:41.6 for the McLaren driver. Daniel Haddad, though, answers right back with a 141.4, claims top spot for himself. And now we have Codordingolo is the next driver to wrap up a lap of his own. Gets P4 right behind his teammate Napadovsky. So not much to separate both Haas drivers, as was the case in Q1. And Gaunt, what do you see now? It's Nardi Perez who's going on a second lap, or finally, yeah, he's going on a second lap on those mediums. He posted that 150 because he aborted his attempt, and despite the graphic telling us that he's on 0 laps, he was going for another one, but now he has invalidated, unfortunately, just coming out of P1.
Exactly, I was on board with him. Through the first sector, it was looking to be a good attempt, but unfortunately invalidating his attempt. Right behind him, we have Alessio Di Capo, who is now, I think it's the first attempt on these tires, finishing the second sector with a 1:13.407, taking almost 1 second out of his time. So right now that would put him on the top 5, maybe top 4. Let's see what the score says when he crosses the finish line.
Exactly, so approaching the last few corners of this attempt, as we have gotten below the 5-minute mark of this Q2, but he aborts his attempt. He goes into the pits. Manolo Villar is up next, though, and is also just entering the braking zone for the bus stop chicane. Let's see what he can achieve. The RS wide open at the back of the Mercedes. He's on the softs. He achieves top 5, 141.955. Very close to Ben Cesabo's lap time. He just achieved. Codordingolo is going himself back into the pits. Sven Zerner got out for another attempt. Meanwhile, Samuel Bean just started a lap of his own. Joanna, what can we see from him today? Of course, if you can take a look at what happened, what place he got in Canada, and what can we expect from him for this upcoming Grand Prix?
From who? Sorry.
Samuel Bean. That's as he is currently in the middle sector.
Samuel Bean got a P7 out of that final 3 laps mess. So still good points for the Aston Martin, while his teammate won the race. But you had said it, he was looking good. He was one of your favorites, I recall, for that race, and he actually showed good pace, but wasn't able to bring the points home. Let's see what he can do tonight. I believe he will try to answer with a better result than what he achieved in Canada.
Yeah, so he's surely going to aim for that one. At the moment, just wrapping up sector number 2. And now it's full throttle for most of this third sector. We really only have one braking zone for it, and it's the final chicane. Let's see what he can achieve at the moment as his first lap time. Enters now the last few corners. We're going to open the RS. He's going over the line now, and he grabs provisory pole, 141.1, and that is a proper lap from these guys. Now the times are dropping. The drivers are getting a bit more serious with the effort on their performances. So Samuel Bean to 141.1. Great lap from him. Manolo Villar has retired from the session in the pits. I guess he feels that he doesn't have any more time left to try, or maybe he ran out of sets of tires to try and improve. Meanwhile, we have Iker Baena on a lap of his own.
He got a bit of a tow, involuntary tow, out of I think it was a rookie, into out of the of Radio. So let's see if that reflects on a very good time. As long as he keeps it on track, he does, at least in the first and second sectors. Let's see how he wraps up his lap.
Yeah, exactly. So once again, this very long sector number 3. Not much for the driver to do at this point. Right behind him we have Sven Zerner is going to be the next one to wrap up his lap as well, trying to improve on that 142.1. But for now, the Spaniard in the Alpine is coming over the line now, gets P6 with a 141.9. Sven Zerner does improve to right behind his teammate. We have 2 by 2 by 2 at the moment in the top 6. Quite interesting stuff to see. And we have Domenico Lovece now. Sorry, no, it's actually Rookie who is about to start a lap of his own. So about
Behind
to
him
wrap
we
up.
have Patrick Krutik trying to finish what you just described as a 2-2-2, and he goes in the middle. So now Andapadovsky right behind him, improving to P4 while he jumped to P3. So unless Korningolu manages to grab P5 ahead of Dani Beresnay, the duos will stay split.
Exactly, Domenico Lovece in P2 as well. Now we have Dario Lemulo trying to get himself in the top 10. Manolo Villar is in for now, and now he's not. So just got dethroned. Manolo Villar is out in Q1, as well as Ben Cesabo, who's already completed his qualifying session and couldn't get better than 141.976. Dario Lemulo goes up into P4. Up next, we have Dani Beresnay, who's currently in P7, but he's not testing his luck from the looks of things. He's coming over the line now, P2 for him, to 141.2. And now we have, who's up next? It is...
We have our rookie Auro in Q2. He didn't put a time yet, and he has invalidated the lap he's in. So that's the end of qualifying for El Rookie tonight.
Yeah, so we have Codorningolo getting himself P8, so he manages to beat Sven Zerner at the moment. Nardi Perez also completes, but doesn't go above P14.
He stopped, Ruben. He stopped before the finishing line, so he's not interested on starting. He's not interested in starting on these tires.
Okay. So up next we have Sven Zerner, who might be trying to improve, not exactly sure, but he brings right behind him, now besides him, it's Ben Cesabo, but Ben Cesabo already completed his attempt. Rookie went back into the pits. Lovece is doing the same. And we only have Patrick Kruti at the moment, I believe. Exactly, it's Patrick Kruti. But
it's the end of our session.
Yeah, it's Patrick Kruti, but he's also lifting off. There's no need to keep pushing. He's already through. As we have the end of the second sector, the second session of qualifying. And we have decided on our top 10. Villar is out, as well as Ben Zabo, Alessio Di Capua, Nardi Perez, and El Rookie. And Joanna, we have a quite interesting field for the top 10 shootout.
Couldn't agree more with you, Ruben. Very, very interested in knowing how this will go. So many fast drivers and able to go for pole, any of them, really.
So, just waiting for Napadovsky and Kruti to get through and just, well, wrap up the session. And shortly we are going to have the results for the end of the Q2 then. Samuel Bindo got a very good lap with that 41.1. Beresnay wasn't too far away from that, with also a very good 41.2. So I could say that perhaps that will be the battle for pole between the Spaniard and the Hungarian driver. What do you have to say, Joanna?
Sorry. Yeah, I was just trying to get this. Okay. So I didn't listen to the question. Sorry.
I believe we are getting to the scrap for pole position between Samuel Bin and Andy Beresnay. What do you think of that? I think those two are the earliest contenders for pole, at least from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think we have 3 Spaniards, 3 Italians, and then one representative from each country. But I think the Spaniards versus Italy will be a side fight, quite interesting as well.
So just getting through the loading procedures now into Q3. And we are going to just wait a little bit. And soon we are going to get underway with Q3. We don't have any information regarding possible rain
Talk for
for
yourself.
the race. Yeah, we don't
Talk for
have.
yourself.
Oh,
We
do
have
you?
a 17% chance of rain in the race, so I'm betting it will start dry and will probably stay the same during the race.
Yeah, so we
Full on
don't.
throttle battle for tonight.
Yeah, it's not very likely to rain for this race. So perfect conditions for the most of it are going to be the conditions the drivers will have to face for the race. So no need to go on well, different approaches for these qualifying sessions. They just need to bolt on the tires they see fit and go for it. The conditions are also ideal in this qualifying session. The skies are clear, as the clouds have dissipated over the course of the first two qualifying sessions. And Sven Zerner is the first to get out there for the moment. And what we have to say about Zerner, Joanna?
Werner finished right behind Samuel Bin last week, at least on the results. Not, I don't recall their penalties on track. Have some, might have made some changes to the results. I'm not sure. So Sven finished in P8, 4 points for McLaren out of the German driver. And again, it's another driver that has been showing us that can deliver points often, and I'm sure that he will try to get more than those 4 points tonight.
Yeah, of course, Canada did get chaotic, so it was very hard to get anything going after that late safety car. Of course, no one wants to back out, especially when there's only about 2 laps to go until the end of the race. Everyone wants to claim points, of course. For some to win, others must lose, and that's just how the cookie crumbled for Sven Zerner and others like Samuel Bean. Also, Iker Baena wasn't able to capitalize on his potential because he was looking really fast during the qualifying
And
portion.
His teammate Patrick was also one of the affected. He was, I believe, in the middle of the sandwich that happened in the airpin and was forced into the wall, costing him quite a few positions. While we have Sven Zerner starting his first attempt at this qualifying session number 3. He's will have some drivers leaving the pits in front of him, but hopefully no one will compromise his lap.
Maybe he's actually hoping for a little bit of a slipstream, perhaps, as Daniel Haddad just gets out of the way as early as he could. And it's not the first time we have the McLaren being the first to get out on the track in this qualifying session in Q1. I believe it was Beresnay, the first one to go out there.
I actually thought you were talking about real life, because Norris was the first one out as well.
Yeah, he was, but those conditions were quite unlike the ones the drivers are facing today. Sven Zerner with a big snap of oversteer for exiting corner number 11. Another save through Piron. Those curbs on the inside are like solid death. You touch them and your car goes to absolute Narnia. He managed to keep that one together, though. He managed to keep that one together.
His lap is invalidated, Ruben.
Well, it did keep the car together. That was my point.
Just not the lap.
He didn't keep the validation of his lap time together, unfortunately. So, who is behind him? I believe he's Lovece, but he's
Dario. Dario Yemulo is the next one on a lap.
Yeah, Lovece is the next one on the track, but Lovece is completing his out lap. So, on a flying lap, we have Dario Lemulo at the moment, the Italian driver for the Faenza-based team. Let's see what he can achieve as his first attempt. So far as I can see, it is still valid. No mistakes from him so far. Let's see then what is able to post on the board, and it's a 141.5, so strong lap from him. Iker Baena is up next.
In the meantime, the two drivers behind him, Iker Baena and Codorningolo, exactly. Codorningolo both invalidating his lap, so next driver to finish the lap will be Samuel Bean. His lap is good so far, he's on the third sector already, arriving at Blanchimont. Let's see what time will the Spanish driver give us.
So let's see what Samuel Bean can get for us. Once again, an early contender for pole position. That 41.1, if he can replicate it, or maybe even go faster in this qualifying, and it hits the wall, still gets provisory pole, 141.3. He was lucky that he didn't get right then and there, well, terminal damage, really. He really risked losing a suspension arm on the end of that lap. Patrick Ruti now getting through the last few corners. Let's see what the Mercedes driver can do as an answer to his rivals, and he beats Lemulu narrowly, but he grabs himself P2 at the moment. Up next is Daniel Haddad, right, Rena?
Exactly, because Domenico Lovetti invalidated his attempt, and our driver from McLaren, Sven Zerner, is going back to the pits. So Daniel Haddad getting out of the bus stop and crossing the line for a 1:41.348. That's a provisory pole, but I believe the times will still fall more than that. In the meantime, Danny Benner is now jumping to P3 with a 1:41.390, quite close at the top so far.
Yeah, it's very, very close. About, what is it, 42 thousandths of a second separating the top three. So, yeah, things are close indeed. Iker Baena invalidated his attempt, so he's bringing his car back into the pits. Codorningolo looks like he has run out of fuel, because he's also going quite slowly. And looks like we've wrapped up our first a round of attempts, and half of the drivers in our top 10 field didn't complete or didn't post lap time. So that just goes to show how precise you need to be around this track. 5 drivers out of the 10 best to present in the field today, 5 of them arrive Q3, and their first attempt is void.
Well, when you look at the times that were actually put on board, you understand easily why you have so many invalidating. They're absolutely limits. 3 drivers in half a tenth shows us just that. Then I think Patrick and Diablo will be able to show us a tiny bit more on their second attempt, and Sven, Zerner, Napadovsky, Domenico Lovetti, Iker Baena, and Codorningolo. I'm quite curious to see. I believe they'll go full throttle, even though they don't have a time on the scoreboard. But curious to see if they might not risk it as much in some corners, just to make sure that they don't invalidate their laps.
So, 2 drivers getting back out there, and it's Van Zerner, the first of them, I believe. No, it's actually Baena. So he got into the garage and just asked his crew for a new set of tires. He wants to go back out. I'm not sure if he has the tires or the time to go for another attempt. So I'm not exactly sure why he just doesn't wait for his lap to be as late as possible. Because with the track evolution, it would probably give him more chances to get a better lap. But then again, Joanna, the pressure is mounting with the failure to post a first lap time, right?
I'm pretty sure some of these drivers are trying to avoid a Monza-like situation, in the sense that they just in the real life, drivers just left it to the last second possible, and sometimes aren't able to actually post a lap. So Sven Zerner and Iker Baena coming out of the pits a bit earlier, let's put it this way. But I'm sure, and now Patrick, it's the next one leaving the pits. Let's see. I don't think they'll have time for 2 attempts. Well, they actually do, but
Well, if they do them back to back, but
well, it's two drivers that don't have a time on the board, so it's the second best thing that they can do, which is having time to abort and go for another one.
yeah, exactly. That they don't have time to go for another set of tires. So if they are able to get 2 laps in a row, maybe abort the first one if they have any issues, they might still have time for that. But nonetheless, it is a very long lap. So of course, it won't damage their race starts too much if they have to go for a second lap on this set of tires, because they are going to start
on these tires.
exactly. They are going to start on the tires they qualified at the end of Q2. The tires they used to get into Q3 are the tires they are going to start the race on.
And Sven Zerner will need that second attempt. A bit of a moment at the end of the Camel Straight in Lecombe, sorry. A bit of a moment for the McLaren driver, and he opts to save some battery energy and go for another attempt. All or nothing for our German driver.
Yeah, in the meantime, Iker Baena goes quite wide at exit of turn 14, but the lap is still valid according to F1 2021. Let's see how fast can he get himself. Of course, quite tight in the top 5 as we have seen already. And Iker Baena is about to complete a lap of his own. We are in the last minute of this qualifying session. Iker Baena comes over the line, gets P4, beats Patrick Cruty, who is exactly the man who just started his lap. And Dani Bereznai is behind him in the order of drivers who have started a lap. Then it's Dario Lemulo, and after him, I believe, is Sven Zerner in that order. So
before
first
that, you have Napadovsky right
Oh.
behind Dani Bereznai.
Okay, so it's still Cruty, Bereznai, then the Russian Napadovsky. But for now, we have Patrick Cruty, so following the pole at the moment. To the second sector, of course, Sven Zerner didn't invalidate his lap, but he did add a bit of a scare coming out of Lecombe, as Joanna just described a few moments ago. That's the reason for that 2-minute lap time for him. Patrick Cruty, I'm not sure if he's going for it as well. It looked like, yeah, he's lifting off, so he aborted his attempt. So it is Dani Bereznai coming up next, I believe. Exactly, and he's bringing Napadovsky right behind him. So let's see what Bereznai can do. Is he able to improve? Is he able to grab pole back for himself? The Hungarian driver is now crossing over the line, and Bereznai grabs himself provisory pole. Napadovsky follows him, doesn't go above 7th place, and it's Lemulun right now in P6. Dario Lemulo crosses over the line, gets P3, separates the Aston Martins at the moment. After that, we have Domenico Lovece, another driver who didn't post a lap time. Codorningolo has retired from the session. He's going to start from P10. That is a guarantee for him at the moment. Domenico Lovece comes through, gets P2 for the Ferrari. And now we have Daniel Haddad trying to give his answer to his rivals.
He was taking 700s out of his lap time, so it would be at least P1, P2, but it's not. It's P1 for the Italian driver. Daniel Haddad with a 141.212 and pole position for the Belgium Grand Prix.
Exactly, so Samuel Bean aborted his lap, Baena also went back into the pits, so it's Daniel Haddad on pole for this Belgium Grand Prix. Very tight stuff at the top. And Samuel Bean wasn't quite able to replicate that 41.1 he got in Q2.
He unfortunately invalidated his last attempt, so he had to back out. No time for a third attempt from the Spanish driver, but P5 is still a good position. Plenty of strategy going on into this race. It's a very long track, quite a few laps, and I'm quite sure that Danny won't be as happy as he would be with pole position, but P2 is a good position to see what Daniel Yarat can do on the start, and probably just try to go for it on even the first lap if you want.
Yeah, also Domenico Lovece with a great performance. Also Dario Iemulo, both of them with very good performance, both Italian drivers, especially after the first race in Canada didn't go too well for them, if I recall correctly. So they need to grab some points to get a kickstart.
Is not that bad.
For who? For who?
Domenico Lovece.
So Lovece got P4, but yeah, I believe Lemul got a bit further back.
14.
But yeah, so they do need some points, of course, especially with Haddad at the front of the pack and with a chance to run away a little bit with the championship this early on the season. And now we are going to, of course, have rivalry starting to brew. His competition is going to try to stop that from happening. So he just got himself pole position. So it's time for the others to tighten up their act a little bit more and put some pressure on the championship leader. It's going to be an interesting race. The clouds have gotten once again closer to each other over these circuits, and Joanna, that 17% of rain is still looming literally above the drivers' heads at the moment.
It looks a bit more than 17 at this moment, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, but of course, always unpredictable. These are then weather. And we are going to take a look at the tires the drivers are going to get for the start of the race. And everyone below 10th place starts on the medium tires. Not really surprising, right, Trana?
Not really. Quite expectable. Manolo will be on the free tire choice pole position, if I may call it that way. Let's see if he can keep up with Corningolo and the other drivers on the soft. If he can, he'll be in a very good position when he pits for his soft tires to get ahead, because he'll have a mighty fast end of race. Let's not forget that Manolo was on the podium last week. I'm just checking. Yeah, he actually finished P2. Back then driving, well, he was also in Mercedes. So let's see if he can actually get another podium for the Brackley team. In the meanwhile, Patrick, who finished P5 last week, is now starting from 7th position, but he's a very experienced driver, very fast. So although he has Iker Baena ahead of him this week, I'm pretty sure he'll try to get closer to Daniele Haddad as fast as he can.
I would like to see as well what we can get from Ben Szabo. Of course, I don't believe he was able to show his full potential with that crash in qualifying. He is starting from P12, so it's not too bad from him, but nonetheless, I believe he can achieve more, especially on this reverse strategy. He can potentially grab up a few spots later in the race on the soft tires, but for that he needs to get to his pit window as the leader of the medium compound runners, and for that he needs to beat Manolo Villar. Daniel Haddad is already parking his Aston Martin on the respective grid slot for pole position. Of course, it's not a very long run from the grid into turn number 1, so the pack is going to be quite compact. Samuel Valentin has gotten himself on his marks and now just waiting from orders from the race director. And there you have it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the Belgian Grand Prix. Good start from Adart and from Berezna. Domenico Lovecchi also getting P3 comfortably. Lemulu though side by side with Baena and with the Ferrari as he dives inside of Lovecchi. A bit of chaos, but everyone well behaved. Patti Kruti is going to have 3 wide into Rouge. It's 2 wide as well with Napadovsky and Zerner. It's the Russian getting the upper end on the German. Here comes now Samuel Bean all over the back of Iker Baena with Patrick Kruti right behind him. Up ahead, it's Adi Berezna with Lovecchi and Haddad. Let's see who gets on the brakes earlier. It is Haddad. Berezna goes on the outside, converts out on the inside. It's going to be the outside as well for turn number 6. Great defensive battling there from Haddad. Keeps himself the lead, and Berezna overtakes the Ferrari with Yemolo battling it out with Baena for P4, gets the move done, and into P4 goes the AlphaTauri driver. Further back, there's also a swap in places between Manolo Villar and Ruki, who is overtaken by Istvan Puki, who started the race in 18th. He's already claimed 4 positions, Rana.
Yeah, you were talking about BenQ and Manolo on the formation lap, and I was thinking, well, BenQ will have to fence off Alessio Di Capo starting right behind him, and that's exactly what happened. They were 3 wide into Lecombe, and Alessio Di Capo actually managed to get the better exit and grab the first position of the medium compound runners. In the meantime, bad first lap for Nadi Perez. He had to brake a bit too much, arriving at Pouon. Because the driver ahead of him had braked a bit too much as well, but he had to take avoiding action, and with that the drivers right behind him managed to grab his position. He drops to last. Let's see if Nardi is able to recover some positions on the next laps.
Patrick Kruti tried a switchback on Samuel Bean coming out of the last chicane. He did get the outside into turn 1, so he wasn't able to convert that chance into a position gain. Sven Zerner had the privileged view of that specific battle, and looks like he's coming out with more speed, coming out of Eau Rouge and Radion. He's getting the slipstream on the pole. I do not believe there's going to be an overtaking attempt just yet though, but there is a little bit of a gap forming between the top 5 and the remainder of the field. Over Alpha second now between Baena and the Aston Martin of Samuel Bean.
Yeah, but I don't think Tamal will let them go anywhere. He'll do his best to try to stay in the future DRS trend, future in the sense that it's not yet active. In the meantime, good job from Alessio Di Capo, who has been right in the back of Codor Ningolo. He was actually one of the drivers with a closer gap into Radinho. So let's see if he manages. I bet he'll have a bit more trouble keeping up in these more wavy sectors of the track. But so far, so good. In the meantime, right behind, a few positions back, change of positions between Álvaro Puerto and El Rookie. With Pablo Armengol right behind him, looking for an opportunity.
Exactly. Also, Iker Baena getting mighty close to the back of Dario Iamulo. But for now, we have Rookie looking at the inside of Puerto. Didn't quite go for an overtaking attempt, just making his intentions clear towards the Williams driver. He's trying to get back to that 15th spot. Armengol just breaking slipstream there on the start-finish straight. But now Lovecchi, let's take a look. I believe he's really pressurizing the top 2 at the moment, but nothing to come from it just yet. Villar though is much closer to Ben Szabo than Szabo is to everybody else. He has the slipstream, he has the DRS at the front end. He doesn't get the room to make the overtake attempt completed, but Villar does so, and Armengol as well as Rookie go both by Álvaro Puerto, who drops down 2 positions in 1 DRS straight alone.
Yeah, I think he was the only driver without DRS, and that gave El Rookie the opportunity to attack him. Armengol was close enough, said thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, well. Álvaro Puerto is out of the race. He spins coming out of turn number 11. Not exactly sure what happened there. I don't believe there was contact with anybody else, but there was an hefty impact coming out of turn number 11. And Álvaro Puerto is already out of the race. Virtual safety car is deployed. Samuel Bean got a penalty Do you know what that penalty was for, Joanna?
I didn't realize what happened. I was trying to understand what was happening with Codorningolo and Alessio Di Capo. There was quite a few switches of position during this virtual safety car in the beginning, but back to where they were. Let's see how long will the virtual safety car be on track. But yeah, 3-second penalty for Samuel Bean, probably track limits, while Napadovsky decides to go to the pits as well as Iker Baena.
Yeah, maybe contact between Bean and Baena, and that's why Baena is pitting. I don't think so, because if there was contact under safety car, both of them would have been penalized. So I guess it's just strategic, trying to take advantage of the delta to go on the pits. They are sure to gain a little bit, but they didn't get the full advantage of pitting under safety car. Danny Barajnai a bit further away from Haddad than he probably would have liked.
Behind them, Patrick passing by Samuel Bean. Samuel didn't have the DRS. The Mercedes driver gains another position. P5 for the driver from the team from Brackley.
Yeah, exactly. In the meantime, going from Brackley to Milton Keynes, there's a swap between Istvan Pukki and Ben Szabo, and Pukki is flying at the moment. Started 18th, if I recall correctly. He's already up to P11, and he's putting some pressure on the drivers ahead. He's doing well to keep Manolo Villar on DRS striking range, and Samuel Valentin with some issues as well, and this turn number 11 is really causing some issues for the drivers. It's the second driver in 2 consecutive laps to spin at the exits of turn number 11, and of course overheat the tires for the Alfa Romeo, and he spins again at P1, and the problems do not seem to end for the Alfa Romeo driver.
These first few laps, drivers have to remind themselves that they are no longer in qualifying session, so lots of fuel in their cars. The car behaves slightly different. A word also to Alessio, who already passed Codorningolo. The Haas driver is still quite close to him, and Alessio is in risk of losing DRS to Sven Zerner. That would really hurt his ambitions, but it seems like he will be able to keep the gap to the German driver ahead.
Speaking of losing DRS, Patrick Cruti looks like he's losing connection to the top 4, and that might getting very vulnerable to an attack from Samuel Bean. At the moment, Andy Berezna is not close enough to go for a maneuver, but Bean might be. No, he is also not close enough. Oh, he has to abort the entry to Lecombe as Valentin retires in the garage, goes to the garage to retire his car. Samuel Bean, he carried a bit more speed than Patrick Cruti, of course, because he arrives the braking zone with slipstream, with DRS as well, and he locked up. He got almighty close to the back of Patrick Cruti, and had to take avoiding action to avoid an incident. Everything seemed to be fine though on the other side of that, and Cruti managed in the meantime to close the gap to Dario Iamulo, so the DRS train is re-established at the moment between the top 11.
Maybe some different setups making the difference, because Patrick really closed the gap in the second sector. Let's see if he's able. Both him and Samuel are in the verge of losing DRS to the car ahead. Let's see if they manage to keep it until Eau Rouge, and then Redlon and the Camel Straight where it actually is used. But yeah, they're both on the 8, 9, 10s of the car aheads. Let's see if they both manage to keep it. So far, the first driver without DRS will be BenQ, who lost contact with his teammate.
Yeah, exactly. So Daniel Perez still putting the pressure on Daniel Haddad. I can see on his steering wheel that his battery charge is quite healthy. But we do have Sven Zerner side by side with Samuel Bean entering Lecombe. Let's see who's later on the brakes. There's contact. Samuel Bean goes round, and Capua has to take avoiding action, narrowly missed by Pukki, and I believe that was Manolo Villar as well. That could have gotten ugly. Samuel Bean drops down to P13, and that's just a classic wheel-to-wheel battle entering Lecombe. not always there is
Some have been
space for two
still with a
cars.
bit of difficulties because the tires were probably way overheated. Under very much under pressure from Pablo Armengol, the Alfa Romeo driver, right behind the driver from Silverstone. In the meantime, Alexis Morichan also quite close, like Nardi Perez as well. A tough blow to Sam Albin's aspirations in this race. Let's see if he's able to still use those soft tires to get to El Rookie, or if he's going to adapt the strategy and stop this lap.
Alessio Di Capua is also in not a very positive situation. He was on the mediums. I'm sure he was betting for his strategy to work, to not lose ground to the leaders by keeping on the DRS range, but that's exactly the opposite of what happened. He had to take evasive action from that incident with Samuel Bean and lost out connection to Sven Zerner, and now Codor Ningolo is right behind him, filling up his mirrors. Danny Berezna is also very close to our leader Daniel Haddad. Let's take a look now at this DRS zone. I believe this is going to be the time. No, Danny Berezna actually lifts off the throttle, so we are going back to the battle for P7, and Codor Ningolo, softer tires, and of course the DRS and the slipstream made that maneuver quite academic. But now Codor Ningolo needs to try and keep up with the top 6. He's already 2 seconds off the pace. That's going to leave him vulnerable in the laps to come.
Further down in the field, Nardi Perez passing Pablo Armengol at the end of the Camel Straight, braking already in front of the Alfa Romeo driver. A bit of a moment both for him and Alexis Morichan on the no-name corner, arriving at Pouon with quite different lines, if I may say. But yeah, Nardi Perez is... all these fights between those drivers, who thinks it is El Rookie, because he now has a 2.5 gap behind him.
So Alexis Morichan, of course, has a brilliant view of Pablo Armengol trying to put pressure on Nardi Perez. So that specific battle still in development, as you just described. Now Domenico Lovecchio is still keeping up with Berezna and Haddad, and Codor Ningolo goes into the pits. He's the first of the soft tire starters who didn't have any issues. Samuel Bean was the first to make his pit stop, but Samuel Bean adds that spin. Is the first to not have any issues and just pit for a strategic option. Of course, we also had, let's not forget, Iker Baena and Napadovsky have pitted earlier under the safety cars, under the virtual safety car. I'm not sure if that was actually the best option, because at the moment...
They didn't, because when they went to the pits, the safety car, the virtual safety car just went out.
Yes, but they didn't get the full advantage, but they got partial advantage. Of course, they didn't make their entirety of their pit stop procedure during while the drivers had to comply within the Delta, but a portion of that period his rivals were forced to comply for the Delta, so they didn't lose as much time as they would be on a full racing pit stop. So let's wait and see at the end how much time are they going to gain, because for this entire time they've been missing out on this DRS train. So I'm not sure if this was actually the best decision. And also those medium tires, even if they gain position on the track at the end of the pit stops for everyone, let's not forget the drivers on the reverse strategy are going to be much faster than Iker Baena and Napadovsky. So unless they are going for a two-stop strategy or hoping for another safety car, I'm not sure they decided in the best of their interests. Danny Berezna, though, just goes into the pits.
The first one to blink out of the top, well, not out of the top three, because Domenico Lovecchio follows him into the pits, leaving a gap between Daniel Haddad and Patrick Kruti in the front. Sven Zerner is 8 tenths behind the Mercedes driver, who now does not have the DRS to the car ahead, so let's see how that plays out, but I think the gap is safe for the Mercedes driver. Right behind, that is another conversation. The other Mercedes driver under attack from Alessio Di Capua.
Iker Baena got the jump on Mulo coming out of the pits. So one AlphaTauri going down the order, the other going up the order. And Yamulo did try to overtake Iker Baena, but the Alpine also had access to the RS. So the order is going to stay put for now. Iker Baena, at the moment, it looks like Baena has jumped to potentially P4, right behind Domenico Lovece, if Lovece maintains P3 and Beresnay P2 at the end of all this. So he did gain some time with that early pit stop, but these tires, those 4 laps of difference, this doesn't look like much, but with the length of each lap, it's actually quite a bit of a knock to the life of those tires. So let's see for how long can Iker Baena keep up the pace. Of course, if he is able to maintain himself on the RS, he can still salvage something and minimize the losses of pace from his tires. But at the moment he's right on the edge of losing the RS to Domenico Lovece, so he might be in trouble as the remainder of the leaders go into the pits.
Yeah, Daniele Haddad gave it everything on this lap. He was in derating. His battery was derating when he entered the pits. He gave his absolutely best. Let's see where he's going to exit. So Dani Beres... Sorry?
Yeah, it's Beresnay who was behind him, so let's see where Haddad's...
Yeah, but Haddad's exiting the pits behind Dani Beresnay and Domenico Lovece, both managing to undercut the Aston Martin driver, with Iker Baena getting right between Domenico and Iker Baena. Daniele getting between them, but Iker Baena under attack, and Dario Iemolo passing him, who also stopped his lap.
Exactly. So, and Patrick Kruti with Napadovsky, also another swap of positions between the pole and the Russian driver Alessio Di Capua. 3 seconds of penalty, that's surely not going to aid his aspirations this afternoon. Ben Szabo is in P5, his teammate in P4. There's a bit of a gap now. Ben Szabo not really able to keep up with the fastest drivers, as he is tangled in this battle with El Rookie, and both of them are a bit further away from the leaders, so they're going to lose quite a bit once they get their pit stops done. Alessio Di Capua, Manolo Villar, of course. Capua needs to nail his stint on the softs if he wants to nullify that penalty. Dani Beresnay with 3 seconds of penalty as well, as he tried to get past Alexis Morichon. Let's see, as they are going to share Blanchimont. The McLaren looks like he got past the Alpine without too much issue, but he did get that penalty, so not exactly what he was looking for, but he is still in the net lead of this Grand Prix, and he's put crucially some cars. Oh, and look at that, Armengol and Nardi Perez, not exactly sure what happened there, but a very chaotic situation. Armengol threw his car on the inside of Nardi Perez. Then it looked like Beresnay wasn't able to get past Armengol and lost some time. Due to that, Manolo Villar takes the lead of Grand Prix. Lovece gets past Morichon, and Beresnay is going to get past Armengol. All of this on the Camel Straight. Domenico Lovece, it's 3 wide, and there's another contact. Nardi Perez gets collected in all of that. Domenico Lovece also loses out massively as he drops down multiple positions. He is now behind Iker Baena, and oh, there's another crash. That's Iker Baena. Sorry, that's Iker Baena and Dario Emulo. I believe Domenico Lovece was also involved in all of that, and Lemulo went right into the wall at the end of Bruxelles, and Guana, absolute chaos in these laps after the pit stops.
Daniele Haddad again getting the best of the chaos. Last week was the win. This week he's up to net P2. Actually P1 if anything happens that bring them together. Cause well, at this moment it's P1 because of Dani Beresnay penalty. So very good race for the Aston Martin, even though he got undercutted, still with a very good shot at the race win.
He did lose a lot of time battling Armengol. Looks like he finally got the maneuver done, just like Kruti is trying to get past Morichon, who is on the alternate strategy. Of course, these drivers are not being lapped. Of course, they are not in the most advantageous of circumstances because of how old their tires are. But of course, they are not obliged to just get out of the way, and that's why we are seeing these battles and this chaos
ensue. We have Alessio Di Capo overtaking Manolo Villar for what is the race lead. At this moment, of course, both drivers will still have to pit, and Alessio has a time penalty. But for now, it's P1 for Alessio Di Capo and the lead of those who start on the medium compound.
Exactly, Alexei Morichon also filling up the mirrors of the McLaren of Sven Zerner, but not able to quite pull the trigger on an attempt at the moment. Domenico Lovece and Dario Emulo, both of them were doing so well in qualifying. Both of them are in the last few spots after being forced to go into the pits once more, unfortunately for them. Nardi Perez, and his day just keeps on getting worse after that contact. He already lost loads of time, then that spin caused by contact, and now a penalty for the Spaniard. His day really has no end in terms of getting worse. Samuel Bean, also another penalty for him. But at the front, Istvan Puki has arrived to this group for the lead and is putting immense pressure on them.
Yeah, you were describing Nardi's day, but you forgot to mention that on lap 1 he had to lose a lot of positions to avoid contact as well. So very, very difficult day for our Williams driver. In the meantime, one more penalty for Dario Yemlu, or it's his first, I believe. Yeah, it's his first, but still might make the difference at the end.
Exactly, so Istvan Puki really filling up the mirrors of Manolo Villar. Let's take a look at this battle goes as they are up through Eau Rouge, really close. The RS not open just yet. There it is. Overtake mode used by the Red Bull, but now Manolo Villar gets to counteract it with the DRS. Is getting closer to Alessio Di Capo. No overtaking maneuver occurring just yet, but the Ferrari now with Ben Zabi and Dani Bereznai is going to try to overtake the Red Bull. It's too wide once again into Lecombe. Dani Bereznai and Ben Sabo having a huge fight at the moment. Bereznai keeps it together around the outside of turn number 9 and arriving turn number 10 of Rochelle. He can't quite get the move done. Tried to do a switch back on Ben Sabo, and this is exactly what he didn't need. He got the advantage over Daniel Haddad once the Italian was battling with Pablo Armengol, but now he wasn't able to get through Ben Sabo as early as he probably wanted, and now he's losing time and over fist to the Aston Martin driver. This is exactly what he didn't want, especially if Haddad manages to get into the RS range of the McLaren runner.
I think we now have a third, figuratively speaking, Aston Martin car on track, because he's doing a fantastic job of putting Daniel Haddad on the DRS range of Dani Bereznai when he was up to 2.2 seconds out of Dani Bereznai car. So the race win on track.
Sorry to interrupt, but Patrick Cruti got past Pablo Armengol. There was another scrap into the bus stop chicane. Iker Baena goes into... No, sorry, it was Morichon who went into the pit, so a swap there between the drivers in the Alpine, and now Dani Bereznai is still involved in this battle, and now Daniel Haddad is glued to the rear of all of them. He carries more speed on the downhill into Eau Rouge. Dani Bereznai moves to the left. It's going to be 3 wide, maybe 4 wide. Rookie is a sitting duck. He does not have the RS. Then Dani Bereznai with Daniel Haddad. Let's see, will we have a replay of Hakkinen and Schumacher? And we have not, because Bereznai maintains the lead. Bessabu gets the best of Rookie, but ultimately it's Haddad and Bereznai getting the lead out of this group. Immense battle between all of them. Fortunately, we didn't get any more collisions. Clean battling and respect between all the drivers. Rookie, unfortunately, didn't have the RS and was basically a sitting duck for all of his other competitors.
Well, we had a bit of a Schumacher Hakkinen in the sense that the driver had lost both positions, ended up losing 3 again. Actually, but yeah, race very complicated now for Dani Bereznai unless Daniel Haddad somehow gets a penalty. And yeah, I'm not sure if the Aston Martin driver will just wait. I think in his position, it's the safer bet in the sense that if if he tries to fight Berezhnay, he might get a penalty.
Exactly. Now Daniel Haddad is really all over the back of Berezhnay. Is going for the move around the outside. Benzabo being opportunistic is going to try to challenge him as well on the inside. Now of the left corner. Rookie has privileged view of this battle. Berezhnay does not have the RS. He's going to get overtaken by the Red Bull, but he still maintains his nose just alongside the Red Bull by enough to grant himself the inside line into La Source. They are going to share Eau Rouge, or will Danny Berezhnay lift off the throttle? Looks like he does so, but he's going to get the RS. Benzabo will not have the slipstream, and here comes Rookie. The RS wide open. Overtake mode got turned off, but turned on momentarily, and with the slipstream is going to have the outside of Benzabo. He's going for it, but the Red Bull just maintains his car well positioned enough to not lose the place to the Ferrari. Napadovski at the back also swapped positions, if I saw that correctly, with his teammate Codorningolo, as they are scrapping it out just on the doorstep of the points paying positions. Let's not forget there are at least 6 cars in the top 10 who haven't stopped yet on this Grand Prix, so the Haas are doing a tremendous job so far in this race.
And 3 of them, the top 3 of this race at this moment, will say thank you very much for this fighting, because they get the huge advantage to the drivers behind them.
Yeah, that's it. That is exactly what they need. Of course, these drivers are betting on these battles to minimize the losses over this period, while the leaders have fresher tires, and the guys ahead, of course, are on older tires. They haven't pitted yet. So, as long as they keep on battling, it mitigates the amount of time that the leaders need to get back once they get on the softs. Speaking of getting on the softs, Manolo Villar is the first out of the current top 3 to do so. Let's see where he rejoins the track.
In the meantime, Ruben, I have some information that Haddad has 2 warnings, so things might be starting to heat up in the net front of this race.
Yeah, Manolo Villar still in the pits. Let's just take a look at where he rejoins. Quite a ways away from Iker Baena, though, about 3-4 seconds from Iker Baena. Of course, massive advantage in terms of tires. Benzabo finally has to capitulate to the charge of Rookie, but now Sven Zerner has gotten all over the back of that Red Bull, and Zerner is bringing Patrick Cruti with him, so another 2 cars battling that Red Bull Ferrari duo for what is at the moment P5.
Haddad just got his 2nd warning on the last lap, so let's see if he manages to keep the car on track to win the race, although he now has the position on track, so things looking pretty good to our championship leader. In the meantime, we have Sven Zerner and BenQ going side by side in what I wouldn't say is the best zone to go side by side. BenQ with the advantage at the end of the 2nd sector. Let's see if they try to do, if Sven Zerner tries to do something into the bus stop chicane. It looks like he's trying to do something way before that. But yeah, let's see how this ends. Patrick Cruti with a perfect view of this battle. So far, advantage McLaren. Let's see on the braking zone who takes the best. BenQ looks on the inside. Patrick has to be careful not to hit the Red Bull ahead when he comes back to the line. In the meantime, in front we have Istvan Spooky finally pitting for the softer compound, and he will probably fall right behind Manolo Villar. Let's see if the Mercedes driver is able to get out of the pits ahead of his opponent. He did, and I think Istvan Puki will not have the DRS to the Mercedes driver, so a good operation from Manolo Villar.
Exactly. Now Sven Zerner getting past Rookie, who is now under pressure from Patrick Cruti, who goes on the inside into Lecom, gets the move done. Pablo Armengol tried to lose out on the DRS, or to gain the DRS from Codorningolo. There it caused some confusion, but now Napadovski, of course, they are still battling it out with Armengol. getting out of Lecombe, and it's Iker Baena now 3 wide momentarily with Manolo Villar and Pablo Armengol. Manolo Villar is doing a tremendous job to get this close, or this quickly, this close to the group. He came out of the pits, let's not forget, he came out of the pits over 3 seconds behind Iker Baena, and is all over his back at the moment. Baena makes a mistake, and Manolo Villar says thank you very much, grabs up P10. Istvan Pukki looks like he's trying to replicate the maneuver as we arrive campus, and Pukki, with of course a great traction advantage, moves up into P12. But that battle, Pablo Armengol tried to go wide into turn 1 so that he could get the DRS from the Haas. The Haas of Napadovski, he lifted off the throttle as well. That forced Kodorningol to lift off, and Iker Baena had nowhere to go. I'm surprised that there wasn't actually a collision, but there was a lot of chaos on the beginning of that lap number 18. Alessio Di Capo and Rookie finally go into the pits, and when it's all settled, both McLarens have penalties. Patrick Cruty might get a podium. Daniel Haddad is at least in a comfortable position.
Ruben, intermediate. It's the end of the race for Alessio Di Capo.
Yes, oh my god, a mistake on the tire selection menu, and he goes for intermediates, and this day couldn't get worse. Manolo Villar all over the back of the Haas of Napadovski and Kodorningolo. The American team collectively have done a great job today, but of course all the time they lost in all of their battles now means that Manolo Villar can get back to P6, and he might even bring the fight to the top 5, and maybe even take advantage of the penalties from the McLarens. Istvan Pukki is trying to do the same. He's hunting down Napadovski right at this moment.
Both McLaren drivers together on track, trying to maintain their positions to Patrick Rutik, both with penalties though, so a task a bit more complicated to both of them. I'm curious to see, because the thing is, Sven Zerner could lift and try to get a gap decent so Dani Beresnay could gain the 3 seconds on the Mercedes driver, but he'd be an easy prey without DRS. So they have to stay in formation, try to help each other. I'm curious to see if Sven is going to pass Dani Beresnay or not. Not for now. Patrick getting quite close to the back of the German driver's car. In the meantime, back we have an overtake into the bus stop. Istvan Pukki passing Napadovski on his quest to catch Manolo Villar, who is now already in the DRS zone to Bence.
Exactly, so I'm not sure if Bence hasn't stopped yet, so I'm not sure if Bence is going to try to hold up Manolo as much as he can, try to make Istvan Pukki gain somewhat of an advantage. There's a swap between the McLaren cars, and Alessio Di Capo retires on the pits. DRS for Istvan Pukki, so rather academic maneuver there. Ben Cesabo also loses out to Manolo Villar at the end. He wasn't able to hold the Mercedes behind him and try to benefit his teammate. Nonetheless, good attempt. He did sacrifice his race, and at the moment I'm not sure if he's going to be able... There's a lot of penalties outside of the top 10, so maybe if he pits this lap, or the next one, if he intends on giving the DRS to Istvan Pukki at the beginning of next lap, things might change a little bit. But I believe at this point, if Benz just pits now, I believe he can still have an opportunity to grab points because of the penalties between 10th and 13th place.
In the meantime, easier life for Daniel Haddad. Dani Beresnay lost 2 positions this lap to Sven Zerner and Patrick Rutik. So Patrick looking very good for a solid P2 in this race, and his teammate, I'm pretty sure that he will want to do a double podium for the team from Brackley.
Yeah, exactly, so that will be interesting. Of course, it all depends on the pace from Manolo Villar. I'm not sure at what point would Beresnay and Zerner work as a team, who maybe one of them hold Manolo Villar off, so they at least don't lose both podium positions for the McLaren team. But at the moment, Vanolo is really on a charge. Kodorningolo as close now as caught up to Ben Cesabo, so there might be another spot for both Haas cars to claim. But for now, Patrick Cruty is lining up an overtaking maneuver on Sven Zerner, gets out of the way, concedes the inside line, and the maneuver is completed without much resistance. Of course, Zerner at this point is penalized. He doesn't have much in a way of defending at the moment as well. His resources are probably quite spent as well, especially the battery charge. But now we have Napadovsky with a brilliant view of the Codorningolo and Ben Szabo's battle for P7.
In the battle, in the back of the field, we have two of the drivers who had a better qualifying, Domenico Lovecchi and Dario Iemolo. Domenico finally passing Dario Iemolo for the 15th position. Not the race both drivers wanted. They had very good qualifying sessions, but then the race caught up with them and they lost quite a few positions. I think it's 11 and 13 positions lost by both of them. 12 and 13. Well, both 12 now that Domenico passed Dario Iemolo. But yeah, in the meantime, we have, as you mentioned, Cordoningolo quite close to Ben Szabo. Let's see if he tries to make... Nah. He goes to the limiter of his AS card not to pass Bente before the first corner, although he does that for nothing as Bente goes to the pit lane finally to get rid of those medium compound tires.
In the meantime, Armengol also goes into the pits. Rookie is on brand new soft tires, and Szabo is on the inters. Best Szabo is on the intermediates. Oh my god, what is going on with the tire selection screens? Ben Szabo is on the intermediates as well. Sven Zerner swaps places with Patrick Krut. Of course, not much to play for unless Patrick Krut makes some sort of mistake that gets him a penalty or that overall makes him lose time to his rivals. Not much to play for at this point in these closing stages of the Grand Prix. A rookie gets past Morichon and is pressurizing Samuel Bean, who actually goes wide. So rookie, he also had the penalty, so not much point in defending from rookie. Rookie grabs 10th spot, and that's exactly what I was talking about with Benza. Ben Szabo, if he went on the softs, he could probably still gain a few positions, just like El Rookie is doing, but instead he goes on the intermediates, and I have no idea what is going on with some of these drivers at the moment. The frustration must be immense.
I cannot help you with what is happening with the intermediate tires, but I can tell you from the chat that something that I was suspecting is actually happening. Dani Berejnei with some kind of damage to his front wing. We can't see it on the screen, but it's definitely affecting the Hungarian driver in this race. He's losing, on the verge of losing DRS to Patrick Kritik, while Patrick's teammate Manolo is getting quite close on softer compound tires. In the meantime, Sven Zerner going wide. I start to be sure that these are quite strategic to not lose DRS, to get the DRS from the opponent. And yeah, Sven with the DRS will now pass Patrick quite easily. Dani Berejnei is also with DRS, getting closer to the Mercedes driver. A strategic corner missing if I ever saw.
Yeah, of course. Zerner, he just doesn't want to lose too much time to Patrick Kruti, because Patrick can at any point make a mistake and penalize on his own, right? So he's not trying to avoid that. Oh, but now I can see what's going on within intermediates, because it's raining. It's raining here at Spa-Francorchamps. We can see, especially if you look at the yellow, it is raining here at Spa-Francorchamps, and Ben Szabo, Pablo Armengol also going on the intermediates, trying to gain something from this, but unfortunately, it is just too little, too late. Also with the penalties, I do believe it is going to be a double podium for the Mercedes unless there are some mistakes from here on in. Daniel Haddad though grabbed pole. He did lose out at one point to Dani Berejnei, but managed to take advantage of the mistakes or the misfortunes of others. And there you have it. he wins, and Canada is going to win at Spa-Francorchamps. It's 2-2. Daniel Haddad takes on the win of the Belgium Grand Prix and extends his championship lead. Patrick Ruti gets P2, Manolo Villar P3, Istvan Pukki with a brilliant charge from 18th on the grid gets himself P4. Dani Berezna and Sven Zerner have to stay put in P6 and P7. The Haas collectively also did a very good job. Kodorningol and Napadovsky. Yeah, P5 and P6 for the McLarens, P7 and P8 for the Haas drivers. Napadovsky stayed put. Kodorningolo, though he did claim 3 positions. El Huki also with a late charge on the soft tires claims 6 positions, but what a brilliant performance from the 4th place man, Istvan Pukki. Must be pretty proud of that one, especially with the shortcoming in the qualifying session. He managed to turn it up and come back in an amazing way. P4 from him, nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, I think he did a P3 last week with all the mess that happened, and he now manages to grab a P4, gaining I think 15 positions in one race.
No
even with the chaos.
Yeah. Go on.
Oh, okay. So even though he didn't have the best of qualifying sessions, he's definitely our driver of the day. A word though for our Italian winner. What a race he did. No mistakes, so many laps close to Dani, on the limit of gaining a penalty, and he manages to keep it on track.
Exactly, but once again, Daniel Haddad on the top step of the podium. A double podium as well for the Mercedes. That's sure to be a nice boost as well in the Constructors' Championship. But we are going to have now the results. There you have it. Haddad P1, then Kruti, then Manolo Villar, Istvan Pukki. Great job from P19 to P4. Dani Berezna in 5th, Zerner P6, Kodorningolo in P7, Napadovsky P8, El Huki in P9, and closing the top 10 with a sole point, Samuel Bean. The fastest lap goes to Nardi Perez outside of the top 10, so no points awarded there. But outside of the top 10 we have Baena, Morichon, Nardi Perez, Dario Iamulo, Ben Cesabo, Domenico Lovece, Pablo Armengol, as Alessio Di Capo, Valentin, and Alvaro Puerto do not complete this race, unfortunately for them. So with that, now going to get ourselves back to the booth, and we are going to wait a few moments to be able to get ourselves some words from the drivers. Take a look at what they have to say about this Grand Prix. Of course, going to speak with our podium seaters as soon as they are available to talk to us. But while we wait, Joanna, what do you have to say about this Grand Prix? What are the biggest points, the biggest talking points of you about the Belgian Grand Prix?
Mistake-free race from our race winner, taking advantage of the misfortune of Dani Berezna, who actually was able to undercut him into the pits, but then the fight, that's the risk of the undercut, really. A fight with the drivers who hadn't pitted, who had started on the medium compound, making that Berezna lost more than 2 seconds, around 2 seconds in one lap, and Daniel Haddad getting into the DRS zone. That's the top point from the front of the race. Of course, we have to also mention both penalties from Dani and Sven, giving a double podium for Mercedes.
So let's now we are able to talk with some of the drivers. Let's start then with Sven Zerner. Let's talk to him first. Driver of the McLaren. Good evening, Sven, and what you have to say about your race? Unfortunately, that penalty did limit your performance a little bit, but what you have to say about what you achieved?
Hello to everyone. Um, yeah, going into the race without any practice, going to time trial to load a setup. I'm happy with the result, even with the penalties. Sadly, one of the 3 second was because I had to go through a chicane, got pushed. So it was one of the 3 seconds. And other one was in front of the DRS through Eau Rouge. I overtook one, and there I cut it a little bit because otherwise I would have lost my ring. And there was the first 3 seconds. So these two destroyed the podium, but still be happy.
Joanna, do you have to ask our McLaren?
Yeah. Good evening, Sven. Last week you grabbed a P8 after some issues in the last laps, if you may say it this way. You grab a P6 even though you had those penalties tonight. What can we expect of you for the third round of our championship?
I think not too much because I'm lagging a lot in the qualifying. Without practice, I can't keep up with these guys. And so I have to do it all again and again and again in the races. Trying the best, but yeah, from like P9, it's not too easy. But it shows every time a lot can happen. I mean, in Canada, back to, I think, battling for P1 in the end. Now P2 could have been possible without penalties, but yeah, so a lot is possible in the races because it isn't like esports where you have 35%, you have 50%. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. So of course it gives you more time to try to recover from any mistakes and also strategy out. There's a there's a lot more time
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
let things play out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But well, thank you for your words, and yeah, good luck into the next round of the champion. And yeah, good evening for you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. See you soon.
Now let's talk with our race winner. Let's talk with Daniele Haddad. He's 2 for 2 in the championship. Daniele, good evening. And the race maybe got a bit compromised, perhaps, while you were battling with the drivers who were didn't pit yet, and you lost a bit of time to Dani Bereznay. But then the luck came into your side of things, and you managed to capitalize on it. But overall, what you have to say about your race, and then about being 2 for 2, of course, that gives you some confidence for the rest of the.
Hello. Yeah, it has been a very good race for me, to be honest. Everything went smooth and how I wanted to be. Obviously, I got even a bit lucky with what happened to Danny, which I'm very sorry about because I think we could have had a very good battle to the last lap. This is Danny's track, so I know that it's very difficult to beat him here. So that's good anyway for me because it's of two races that I'm winning. So it's a good moment and let's capitalize as much as we can in this period.
Joanna, do you have anything to ask our race?
When you saw, what were you thinking when you saw the gap just closing and closing to Dani Bereznay? Talk us a bit through that part of your race.
Well, in reality, I went for an overcut that basically means that if I was if it wasn't raining, which I was hoping at the beginning of the race, I would have had an advantage of tire till the end of the race. So yeah, Danny was a bit disappearing, but at the same time, I know that I would have had maybe a chance with the tire advantage to close the gap a tiny bit. So I wasn't really too under pressure in that moment. But obviously, his fight with who was I don't remember even probably Sabo and somebody complicated honestly a lot his race and he got unlucky with the damage that probably he had. So yeah, would have been, I think, a very good battle till the end of the race, and I'm very sorry that we couldn't have it. But I'm very happy to have Danny here in the championship because I know he's a very good and fair guy to battle, and as you can see, especially for example, first lap or whenever we have been very close. Yeah, I mean, we speak about a very good battle of Formula One.
Yeah, it was interesting. Of course, you guys did put a lot of pressure on each other early on the race. Then the race circumstances separated both of you a little bit. But yeah, congratulations on the race win. And let's head on for the next race of the championship. And thank you for your words and good evening.
Good evening to you guys. Thank you.
Now let's jump on to our second place finisher, Patrick Kruti. Good evening, Patrick, and did an immense job of being disciplined, not penalizing, and you managed to grab the podium at the end, and collectively as well. We didn't have the opportunity yet to speak with Villar, but collectively for the Mercedes, that is probably also a great performance with both on the podium. What do we have to say about the race perspective?
First of all, good pronunciation of my second name. Sorry, my surname. Very well done. Not many people can do it properly. So, yeah, the race was okay. The quali was. Sorry, I'm not gonna swear. I just in the last second I just held myself. So yeah, the quali was not great. I should have done better. When I saw the lap times, like pole position lap wasn't that mega 41.2. In practice, I've done 41.0. So I just did not a good job in the qualifying. Didn't put the lap together on the second one. I had to back off, unfortunately, because I was too far off the pace. But yeah, in the race, I decided to be very cautious and not to make any mistakes. So I didn't have any penalties, and I was avoiding every possible accident in front of me, and it did work. Fortunately, some people crashed in front of me, so I gained few places. Strategy was okay, not the perfect. I think if I pitted lap before, maybe I would have followed Danny, had that till the last lap, because I would have been probably just behind him. But I don't know. So the race was okay. P2, it's a good result, and I take it for sure. When I started from P6, it's a great result.
Joanna, any questions?
Patrick, you mentioned that you were trying to avoid any accident that you could be involved in last week. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a reality on the last laps. You being the middleman in a place that
in the
you don't
sandwich.
really go 3 wide.
Yeah.
But yeah, you still managed P5 last week. Very good P2 this week. What can we expect from you in Zandvoort?
Well, Zandvoort is a very difficult track. It's not it's not one of my strongest. It's one of the weakest, I would say, because I'm lacking a bit of pace, even though that I like driving on the circuit. But I've never raced on Zandvoort in F1 2021. So to be honest, I don't know. Oh no, I did race, but I was at the beginning of the game. But now it changed a bit because of the patches. But yeah, I hope again I can have a clean race. But the main thing now, the main focus will be on qualifying to be on top of my form and to put the lap together, because that's the problem I had in the previous races, and hopefully no more sandwiches anymore in this season.
It's a bit more essential, the qualifying in Zandvoort, than it was here in Spa. Thankfully for you, it didn't go too bad tonight.
Yeah, it didn't. So yeah, pretty happy.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the podium. Of course, Manuel was again. We weren't able to talk with him for the round of questioning, but congratulations on him as well. A great collective performance, and well, thank you. I thank you for your words, and see how it goes then at the Netherlands at the Dutch Grand Prix.
Cheers, bye bye.
Now, our last interviewee of the day, going to speak with Danny Berezhnay. Good evening, Danny. You did manage at one point of the race to take advantage of the misfortune of Daniele, and you were able to pull away, but then the penalty damage really took a knock on your chances. Describe the race from.
Yeah, so it was a good race until the damage.
for sure. I know that the undercut would work pretty well. It's not about the time you gain, but it's about having every time a lap advantage to overtake compared to the other guy. So if you cannot overtake on the same lap as the other guy, and in Spa there is 1 or 2 overtaking spots per lap, then every time you overtake someone, he will hold up, the guy who is attacking you on the same strategy, basically. And you can also treat your ERS better and manage when you get to overtake someone, and it's all pretty good. And it's been good. I kept Haddad out of the 2 seconds gap, which is pretty safe around Spa, because even if he gains like 2/10 on me per lap, and I don't think he can gain a lot more in Spa, if I don't make a mistake, then it still takes 5 laps to catch me, and it's a 22 laps race, so that's quite a difference there. And yeah, I tried to save some ERS till the end, and that was basically where I lost out this race, because I should have made the double overtake on Photon and the Ferrari ahead of him earlier on, but I started to be in a battle, and then obviously we lost so much time in this battle, so my DRS advantage compared to Haddad was already gone. And then I didn't actually want to make an overtake in the first turn. I just broke how I normally do, and I was like, if they break really early, then I may have a chance to get alongside Photon, but obviously I didn't want to make a double overtake, and I'm sorry to the Ferrari if I dive bomb him too hard, but it was not on my plans. Obviously, they were on used tires. They broke later than how I did, and then we made contact. I'm actually pretty happy I didn't spin there. And then I still hoped that maybe with some ERS usage, I can stay in the DRS of Haddad. And obviously, after that contact, I still tried everything to come up top, but yeah, I lost the second per lap with that damage, so it was too much. And then my penalty could have been removed because I got it unfairly, but then with the broken wing, I got additional warnings, so that won't be able to be removed.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why P5, if not for the penalty, it was actually, I got 3 warnings, so if it's just 1 warning less, then I'm still on a podium with a broken wing, which is good. But obviously, this is not the race I wanted in Spa, which is my favorite track.
So, fortunately, a bit of a disappointing result. But Joanna, any questions you have to post to Danny Berezhny?
Yes, Danny, hi. Just asking still about that broken wing, because we didn't, at least I didn't realize when did that happen. I think you got the 3 seconds in the beginning of the 3rd sector. Did you already had a broken wing then, or did you get it after?
No, I got it when I battled with the Photon, the Red Bull, and the Ferrari, who I don't know how to pronounce the name of.
El Rookie.
Yeah. It was Rookie and Ben Szabo, I believe. I'm not sure,
yes,
but yeah.
Yes.
That's when he got the damage. But yeah, anything else from you, Joanna?
Wishing Danny a better luck for next race. These things can happen. Patrick had it happening last week and didn't stop him from getting a podium this week. So best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your words, Danny. Thank you for dropping by. And yeah, better luck next time. Of course, sounds a little bit easier to say than actually doing it on the track. But yeah, let's see how everything goes when we get to Netherlands.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
See you. Now, from everyone, thank you very much for dropping by and watching this incredible race. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. And of course, let's not forget, next week we are headed to Zandvoort, headed to the Dutch Grand Prix, and it's a much tighter circuit, but still a few opportunities to overtake, and it should be it's quite a short track as well, so it's basically a go-kart track for F1 cars. It's just a bit longer because of the F1 cars, but you really need to be on top of your game be very precise through those fast corners. The curbs can also throw a spanner in the works. They are quite tricky around Zandvoort, but yeah, hopefully it will be an amazing one. Hope to see you guys next time. From me, it's everything from Ruben Racebugmania and Joanna Gauntbrit. Hope to see you all next time and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.